Cardinal fans, welcome back to Inside the Cardinal Playbook, presented by UPS Store, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. And Coach, here we are. We had a really thrilling homecoming game. It was a 23-21 loss, but it was really a good ball game from the kickoff to the very last buzzer.
Yeah, it was good football. I mean, as far as two teams really battling it out and nobody wanting to give up, and you know, we did some really good things on Saturday. You know, I talked to a lot of people. A lot of people talked to me after the game with different events that we had because of homecoming week, and you know, they all were very, you know, positive about the kind of game it was, and that hey, you could see two teams battling it out there, two solid football teams, and you know, we ran out of clock on Saturday, unfortunately, and you know, we get that play at the end, think that maybe that one was going to go the distance too, but you know, we've got to, you know, make a few more plays here and there, and that makes a difference in a game like that. And you know, I'd love to have a few calls back, and you know, our players would each like to have one or two things back, you know, and that's what makes a difference in games like that. A play here and a play there, a block here and a block there, a tackle here or a tackle there, and you know, kick here, kick there. It can make a huge difference in a close, tight, hugely contested game like that.
Well, you know, I've seen a billion games, and you know, I was talking to the people up at Arrowhead at the Chiefs game yesterday. They were asking about our ball game Saturday, and I told them, I said, very few times have I really seen, even at the high school level, two kids, this is just my impression, two kids, one on offense and one on the defensive side, that really dominated play and were so vital to what the other team did.
Right.
You know, at quarterback and middle linebacker. You want to talk about those two kids? Because, you know, sometimes you do get beat, and I really felt like probably Saturday we did get beat by and these two guys were a big reason why.
You know, they were really good football players on both sides of the ball, and if you're going to have your two best players, those are the two positions you want them at, quarterback and middle linebacker, because the Mike linebacker is the quarterback of the defense, as we both know, and you know, they affected the game for them in a very, very positive way, and you know, we needed to try and do some things to contain both of those two, and we did at times. We did some really good things to contain them, but you know, they made enough plays to have 2 more points than we did at the end, and you know, that's the way it went.
You know, I want to talk a little bit too about you know, their middle linebacker Wilson was just Darius Wilson was just coming all the time. Put a lot of pressure on your offensive line, picking up the blitz. Also, you're up back if you had him in pass protection. But you brought up a good point. We talked about. We kind of felt like both of us talking after the coaches show that linebacker was in a neutral zone some. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, it's an official's ruling, and you know, there's maybe no right or wrong ruling there. That's you know, that's something that as an official you've got to make a decision on, whether was he enticing the offensive player offsides, or was the offensive player offsides or snap infracting on his own accord. You know, from my standpoint, obviously, I'm always going to say when those things, especially the way it happened the other day, that you know, that the offensive player was induced because of how it was happening, and the defensive player being in the neutral zone and some of those things. But you know, that's a judgment call, and the officials decided that wasn't how we were going to officiate it the other day, and that's their right. And you know, we've got to be able to overcome that. And you know, did it affect us negatively the other day? It sure did. There's three big plays, negative plays that turned out to be that, you know, again, in a game like this, all of the little things make a huge difference. And you have 3 negative plays like that in, you know, 2 or 3 consecutive series, and you know, it can greatly affect the game. Was that the reason we lost? No, it wasn't. You know, you can point to a lot of things throughout the game that we could have done better in every area of the game. Coaching, you know, offense, defense, special teams. There were things the opportunities that we had that we've got to capitalize on more of those to win type ball games like that.
And their quarterback, Michael Wilson, Coach, you told me that this kid was special, and he was. And I tell you what's so hard, and I hope the fans, Cardinal fans, understand that. When you're a defensive-minded guy like you are, I thought your game plan was excellent, and I really mean that. And a kid like that, when it's the problem is he's like playing in the backyard in a playground. You try to keep him contained, but he really breaks plays down himself, and he really doesn't know what he's going to do at the snap.
No. You know, it's all impromptu in those situations for the most part. And, you know, he was their tailback. He was their offensive tailback a year ago, and was a really good tailback. and you put a guy back there and put the ball in his hands and allow him to throw it a little bit. And it was the craziest thing. He'd throw 2 passes in a row. You'd wonder where they were going.
Dead ducks.
And then he'd throw a beautiful ball
fade
on time
for
and
touchdown.
Great only spot he could throw it in.
On the dime.
And so, give credit to a lot of guys there that came in and really did some things in the scheme that allowed us to at least somewhat contain him. Did he get out and have a lot of yards? Sure he did. But, I've seen him go for more than that, and I've seen him, hurt people worse than that from a point standpoint. And I'm proud of our guys for the way they played. Would we all like to have made a few more plays? Sure we would have. But, it didn't happen on Saturday, and credit their offense as well. There were some really, besides the quarterback, there were some really good athletes on that offense. And, up front they were solid in protections, and they were big-bodied guys up front that had good feet. And, all of those things make for a tough team to defend. If you don't have a quarterback like that, you throw in the dynamic of having a guy like that, and you could have a really, really long day from a point standpoint if you don't take a little bit different approach to it, and we had to on Saturday.
Well, we'll get back in our second segment and talk a little bit about what we did offensively and defensively and specialty teams in the next portion. Thank you.
I can name a lot of guys over there that are doing some really good things.
So, I'm my own man. I can work from home. I can make meetings, I can make deadlines, I can make proposals, I can remember birthdays, I can entertain clients, I can pay for lunch. Yeah, I can do it 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3:15, I can do anything. Done, on it, yes, taken care of. 50 two-sided bound color presentations by tomorrow, I can do that. How do I do that? I love logistics.
I'm Rick Cole of the William Jewell College Sports Network, here with Mary Beth Boone of Aunt Mary's Cookies.
We want you to come to the Jewell Volleyball game on October 30th against Rockhurst, because it's Milk and Cookies Night with Aunt Mary's Cookies. Aunt Mary's will provide cookies and milk for your enjoyment that night. So come and visit us when William Jewell takes on Rockhurst. Aunt Mary's is located in North Kansas City. We have a full cafe and deli, as well as fresh baked goods daily.
And don't forget to join us October 30th at 7 p.m. as the Cardinals take on Rockhurst University in volleyball. We hope to see you there.
Welcome back to the next segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. Coach, let's talk a little bit about it. Let's start out with our specialty teams. We kind of mix it up every week in this segment. And let's start out with those guys.
Yeah, I thought our special teams were really good the other day. Our coverage teams, both on punt and on kickoff. Kickoff's been really good the last couple weeks. And, we didn't disappoint there again on Saturday. Our coverage units were very good. We got all our punts off. Zane, we had a bad snap on one, and he makes a good play to get over to the left and catch it and get it off, and he kicked one out of bounds that didn't go very far, but it didn't end up hurting us. We got off the field defensively on that one without any points scored. Punt block. They were interesting how they lined up and did some things and some fakes they had out of it. So we got the ball back every time, which was our goal there as far as, fair catching when we need to, and got all the balls caught there. I think maybe except for one. I can't remember. The
much
one,
better on the fair catch with Cook. Much better.
Yeah, the one frustrating thing, and again, there's little things in every phase of the game that you can look at and wish you had back. And we have a low snap on the field goal early in the game, and Zane doesn't catch it and get it down, and we lose out on 3 points there, and that's those things happen. But again, we look at little things and little places in the game that a little bit better execution, it makes the result different. And so if there was any negative, all in special teams, I thought our special teams were really good Saturday. If there were any negatives, it would be that we missed a snap and a hold on a field goal.
Yeah, I really see the difference, and I've said this in previous shows about our team speed, and you could see that on the coverage. You're talking about how good your coverage has been both on kickoffs and punts, and I think that's really been a big difference, and it's really been beneficial to your team.
Well, and you're right. I mean, that's an athletic team we played on Saturday.
Very much so.
A lot of athletes run around out there, and I don't think they out-athleted us in the special team schemes. And, they maybe did with their quarterback a few times and maybe did with their linebacker a few times, but in special teams, I would say we we had the better of the special teams battle on Saturday. And you know, again, when you do those things, you give yourself a chance to be in it at the end. But we've got to fix some of the little things.
Let's talk about our offense a little bit. You know, we had more first downs. Time of possession was just about dead equal. They had a little bit more total yardage than we did. But I thought overall, you know, it was almost, and I said at the beginning of the game, I told Rick, I said, I think this may be a shootout. And it was starting to develop a little bit like a shootout there in the second half. Of course, we had the fumble in midfield. That were really probably, and we had great field position, and I believe that was on first or second down. And we had just gotten a first down, so we were moving the football. But, you know, I think one reason why, and I talked to Sean quite a bit about this, is that you guys haven't turned the ball over as much as you have in years past, and it's really kept you in ball games. And I think that possibly the offense looked really good, is my point. Probably didn't move the ball on the ground as much as you wanted to, but overall I thought you did some good things.
Yeah, we did some really good things. You know, we had a little stretch there in the second and third quarter where we were starting to feel really good and getting a little bit of a groove, and then we had a bad snap, and you know, a little thing again that, you know, Jake Hartley'd love to have that snap back, and Sean's trying to handle it and get it to Glenn, and the ball's kind of up in the air, and we have a turnover there again. But that turnover didn't turn into points. You know, we got off the field there defensively, but those are momentum things that can hurt you if they happen at the wrong time. And you know, but I think we continue to do some really good things offensively. You know, John Molson had another really good day, and he and Sean are on the same page on a lot of things. And you know, Quentin Reiser, I can name a lot of guys over there that are doing some really good things. You know, did we run it as well as we'd like to on Saturday? We didn't. But those were some things, credit them, you know, some things that they were doing defensively too, and the athletes they have over there. Their defensive line was very solid, and they got a couple linebackers that could really, really play that limited some things in the run game. And, you know, we've got to be able to transition and go to other places at that time. And, you know, we have some opportunities at the end of the game to go down and get in field goal range and score. And, you know, for whatever reason, it didn't happen for us on Saturday. But you know what? If we had to do all over again, I'm not sure we'd change a lot. You know, we've got to execute better, and we've got to maybe be a little bit better in some protection things that are late in the game. But you know what? I'll put the ball in the hands of our offense at the end of the game. There was never a time in that game till the final whistle blew that I thought we were going to lose. And our players felt the same way. And that's when you're starting to build some confidence in what you do. And you know, our players felt the same way. That's why those, you know this, those games are the hardest ones to take when you do lose, because in your mind you didn't lose, and you couldn't lose because you weren't going to lose. And when it happens, then you mentally, at least in a short term, it wears on you. And you know, we're over it now, but you know, we all felt it for 48 hours, 24 hours, whatever it was, but we got to move on.
You know, I want to put out kudos. I've seen our kids play a lot of good offensive football in my lifetime, but John Molson had a great game offensively. And I, you know, single one person out because his team game's hard for you. But just as a bystander, I want to say in this end of the segment, you know, he was fantastic. Made some really big plays at big times.
Yeah, he's doing some good things, and you know, the chemistry that he and Sean have been able to build here over the last couple of years has been. It's paying dividends for us right now, because those two are doing some really good things together, along with a lot of other guys, and that, you know, they're such a comfort level now. You don't maybe see the other ones quite as much, but they're all getting in there too. Again, we're spreading the ball around well.
Well, next segment we'll get in and talk a little bit about defense, and then we'll talk about our opponent next weekend, and we'll be right back.
There was sometimes we had 7 defensive backs in the game because of how they were spreading us out and the athletes they were putting on the field.
What's my motto? Play to win. What's the key? Logistics. It takes planning. Everybody on the same page. Check this out. This is my playbook. Serious business. Right player, right place, right time. Did it at the UPS store. Bam. High five. Color, pictures, charts, graphics. Nice, huh? I love logistics.
It says in the book we should play as a team.
Professional color printing. Now at the UPS store.
Welcome back to Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS Store, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. And Coach, we'll talk a little bit about our defense. I think I gave you a compliment. We don't give each other compliments very often,
Nope,
but I think
that's
you do a great job defending the spread look, probably as good as anybody I've seen. You had a lot of experience because you're playing in Division II, and that's what a lot of people run. But I think you did a great job, and I saw some growth. But what I noticed about as much as anything, you played a bunch of people on defense.
Yeah, in a game like that, you almost have to because of what they can do in spreading you out in the field. So we had there was sometimes we had 6, 7 defensive backs in the game because of how they were spreading us out and the athletes they were putting on the field. And then, you saw us rotate a bunch on the defensive line because as many times as they threw it or pass attempts as they had, if you're playing as hard as you need to play on the defensive line in a pass rush, that's a battle every single snap, and you get worn out. And if we can't rotate guys to keep them fresh, then we're not going to be very productive there. And I'm proud of those guys up front. That's a hard game to play in for a defensive lineman because
very difficult.
You can get
You're
frustrated
running all the time.
Yeah, and a quarterback like that, he's hard to catch and he's hard to keep in the pocket, and you can get frustrated with yourself really easy because in your mind sometimes because you're not making tackles or not sacking the quarterback, you think maybe you're not affecting the play, but I would say they affected the play in a big way a lot on Saturday. Was he going to get out? Sure he was. We knew it going into it. We talked about it going into it. Listen, he is going to get out, and he's going to get on the run. We've got to limit those things as much as we can, and we did. You see sometimes he tries to step up and the bottom of the protection closes, and he's got to step back into the pocket, and
he backed up out of the pocket several times.
We got a chance to get him on the ground, on some pressures, which we build in out of some dime packages and some what we call penny packages, which may be 7 DBs at times, and gave us a chance to maybe get him on the ground later in the game, and those guys did a really good job up front, and we played a lot of guys defensively, in the secondary especially. It was a tough game to play a lot of linebackers just because. They didn't stay in their run game much. We did a great job against their traditional run game. I mean, really, really good job.
They didn't move the ball.
I think they probably had 12 yards, 8 yards total offense in their conventional offensive run sets. We defended them very well. They went away from them. They ended up and just lived and died with the quarterback.
It was playground football for them.
It was.
It really. I told the people, on our coaches show, our post-game show, I talked to a lot of the parents, and hopefully they'll listen today. It was a playground football game, and when you're a defensive coordinator, which I spent my life doing, you just hold on to your britches and pray for the best.
And you hope players make plays, and that there's no master thing in the defensive playbook that says, okay, how do you defend a guy like that? You just don't have it. So you've got to try and create different looks and different situations to give yourself a chance to somewhat contain that situation. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that on Saturday. Again, is there a couple plays we could have done better? Sure there is. Is there a couple times we could have maybe tackled a little bit better? Sure there is. But give those guys credit for they know what they are offensively right now, and you're going to see them down the stretch here win a bunch of games because of what they're doing now.
It's like his pictures in the paper with an X in it.
You throw it all out the window when you play teams like that, and you try and devise different things to try and help you be successful against a team like that. But, good for them and what they've done and realize the ability that young man has, and they're utilizing it to its fullest right now. And they're going to win a lot of games down the stretch because of that. Because, again, they're going to go play, I think, Missouri S&T this week. And Missouri S&T I guarantee you, they sat watching film last night and all day today,
worried just as
having the same thoughts that we had as a staff last week, going, well, what are we going to do here? I mean, it's just not. It's not what you think about as conventional football. So all the things you try and teach your kids all year long kind of goes out the window in games like that, and you got to try and take a different approach, and that's what we had to do on Saturday.
I compared him a lot to Michael Vick in the NFL. When Michael Vick was younger, when he could really do the things he did when he was younger with his feet. And what amazed me, and you already brought the point up, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. He made some really ugly throws, but when he had to, he hit them right on the butt.
That was the most frustrating thing about it.
Yeah.
Because,
Absolutely.
But you know what? Kudos to him too for making plays.
Right.
You know, good players make plays no matter what the situation. You know, when they need to make a play, they make a play, and that's what he did the other day. You know, you're comparing to Michael Vick, and you know he doesn't run quite as well as Michael Vick. He ran well, but I would almost rather try to tackle Michael Vick at 185, 190 pounds.
Not the same
than
size.
This kid was 230 pounds and just a muscle. And
muscle with feet.
Oh my gosh, he was hard to get on the ground, and you know I thought we did a fairly good job considering the situation. Yeah. Again, we'd love to have some.
Well, you had a
back.
chance to win the ball game.
Yep, we kept ourselves in it.
And again, I think sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot and lose, but a lot of times you do get beat.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
And we have to give credit to them. Well, we're going to drop this, quit talking about last week, and we'll go to the next segment, get into talking a little bit about going over to Illinois. We're going to have a whole different discussion here because we're going to look at a totally different offense.
You go from 1 week seeing stuff that's not conventional to the next week seeing stuff that was conventional for a very long time.
I'm going to change the world. I've got computers, I've got financing, I've got clients. I've got a business plan. I have VC money. I've got a game-changing idea. I've given myself room to grow. We're dangerous. Very dangerous. This is only the beginning. I'm going to own the future. There's just one problem. I don't know how to print this.
Professional printing.
Help?
And everything else a small business needs. Now at the UPS store.
I love logistics.
We're Shelter Insurance.
We know you don't stay in business for more than 60 years unless you treat customers right.
We think insurance is better when it relies as much on humanity as it does on technology.
And we know what the weather is like in your area because we live in your area.
Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter.
Get the insurance coverage you need at the right price. Call Kimberly Sidden today.
Let's talk about this week's opponent, Coach. Just roll.
Yeah, they're, offensively, and we ended the last segment talking about opposing offenses, and we go from one end of the spectrum to the other. Literally, we walk off the field on Saturday after seeing what we saw in a lot of empty personnel spread you out and quarterback run and pass and whatever it is, and then I turned some of the film on late Saturday night, and just to try and get in my head and start to think about some things with McKendree, and you see single wing.
I could come out of retirement. I could get the cobwebs off.
And one tight end, one split receiver.
You'll see a whole different
in the backfield, and a lot of misdirection stuff in the run game. And again, you go from 1 week seeing stuff that's not conventional to the next week seeing stuff that was conventional for a very long time, but not to our current players. I remember some single wing stuff, and we've defended it in spurts a couple of different times in my career in the past. But our players, I guarantee you, 95% of our players have never seen it.
They're used to the spread.
Yeah, and don't understand it. And so it's a different approach again this week about trying to
you have to be so disciplined.
You got to reteach them a lot of things that last week were completely opposite of what you're going to try and get them to do this week. At the end of the day, though, the things that you can do is play physically, run every single play, and tackle. If you do those three things, doesn't matter what type of offense you play, if you do those three things well, you got a chance to win. And so that'll be our approach this week. And I'm still racking my brains, as we are as a defensive staff, about trying to figure out, okay, what exactly is the best way to line up to this, and hoping we can try and defend it. And they can get in some one-back stuff and throw the ball as well. So not only are you trying to defend, the three-back single wing type dynamic, but you're also going to defend, four wides and empty spread, and them throwing the ball down the field as well. So it's going to take a lot of discipline, and we were here, as we always are on Sunday nights, we were here real late, almost into this morning last night, trying to get a handle on just what we're seeing and the approach we need to take. And, they're very good at what they do. Coach Pelker, the head coach, has been there for a long time, and they've been good for a lot of years in this offense and very disciplined in what they do. And he understands controlling the football and limiting mistakes and limiting shooting yourself in the foot. And he knows if you do that, you're going to give yourself a chance in most games to be in it at the end. And that's what they've been like this year as well. And they get a big win at Kentucky Wesleyan last week, and gave Kentucky Wesleyan a lot of fits in that 3-back single wing stuff. So it'll be an interesting approach again this week, and we're going to have to change gears on our thought processes a little bit on how we're going to try and defend them. And do I have all the answers for it right now? No, we don't. But hopefully by Saturday we'll feel pretty good in what we're going to do.
Now, let's look at their defense a little bit, what your offense will be facing. Now, we're going to look at a conventional 4-3-3-4, or we're going to get a conglomerate of we may run a 52 monster if they're running the 6
exactly.
single wing.
We're seeing some conventional 4-3 defense too. They can get in some 3-4 looks too, and so they can give us some different looks there. But again, it's going to come down to us too executing like it does every week. As we always talk about, it's sometimes less about what they do and more about what we do and how well we do it. And if you can take that approach each week, you got a chance to do some good things, and we've got to do some things better in all phases right now.
Well, I think your offensive coordinator, Majors, has done Brian's done a great job of some great play calling. We've talked about mismatches.
Yeah.
And I think where Jules really had an advantage is with the receiver corps, with some of the advantages they've had on the corners, and sometimes on the safety, depending on the coverage. We can talk about different coverages. But in height, we got receivers that are 6'4", it's a kid that's 5'8", 5'9". You got a chance to go over the top a little bit, but it's also mismatches.
Yeah, those are all the things you look at when you break down the film, and our offensive staff does a really good job of that. And I think in general we do a pretty good job of that as a team. Of trying to find those mismatches and where maybe you can exploit some things, and you can do all of that you want, but it comes down to the players understanding it and how well can you get the players to understand it by Saturday. And at the end of the day, Sean understanding, our quarterbacks understanding, okay, when are the right situations to take advantage of those mismatches within the scheme.
Yeah.
And we've done a pretty good job of that so far this year. We need to continue to go down that same road.
Well, we'll talk about 1:30 start. Let's give all our fans the information. It'll be on radio as well. We'll be able, of course, we'll be on the internet. We're traveling again. We're kind of a road show.
Yeah, we are a little bit. I don't necessarily mind being on the road. We've talked about that before. And this one, as far as our travel goes, isn't as bad. I think it's 5 hours.
That's nothing for us.
4.5 to 5.
No step for a stepper.
Yeah, exactly. So we get to leave on Friday instead of Thursday. And again, we'll travel well, and our players will be ready to go. And they do a great job on the road. Tribute to them. They prepare themselves very well. And I don't look at any game this year that they haven't prepared themselves well. Did we get outmatched in some? Sure.
I agree with that.
But they've prepared themselves very well, and that's you can say all the things you want as coaches, but it's up to the players on Saturdays to play, and it's about their preparation going into the games. And I'm very proud of them for the approach that they continue to take.
Well, once again, thank you for Inside the Cardinal Playbook. That ends this week's program presented by the UPS 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. And hopefully we'll see all the Cardinal fans over in Illinois at 1:30 on Saturday.